Like usual, Bel joined the farmers to take turns taking care of the fields. While having his meal, Bel remembered how much Ange liked the cowberries, and he wondered when she'd come home. At the same time, he heard a female voice coming from the outside. Bel asked who she was, and the girl apologized for her sudden visit, and asked if it was the residence of Mr. Belgrieve, the Red Ogre. Bel was totally confused after hearing the Red Ogre title. Bel said that it was him, and the girl seemed excited, but she respectfully greeted Bel, and introduced herself as the second daughter of the Bordeaux family, Sasha Bordeaux. Bel was surprised to hear that she was the Count's daughter. He immediately kneeled and apologized for his rudeness. However, she immediately asked him to get up, saying that they were indebted to Ange, so they were equally indebted to him. Bel was confused, but Sasha just thought that his crimson hair made him worthy of his Red Ogre title. He tried to clear up the misunderstanding about his title, but Sasha was just excited to finally meet Ange's father, and his title was stuck in her head. So he had to put it aside first, then he invited her in. After serving Sasha some food, Bel asked what he could do for her. Sasha explained how Ange had saved her sister and escorted her to meet their ailing father. Bel asked how the Count was, so she said that he passed on without regret after meeting Saren, and Bel immediately expressed his condolences. Afterwards, Sasha explained that Ange refused any kind of reward, and she told them to give it to her father instead if they must. Bel smiled after hearing about Ange, but he was shocked when Sasha suddenly took out 100 gold coins. Bel tried to refuse to take all of it, as he could even lived off a single gold coin for a year. However, Sasha refuted that Saren's life was priceless, and it would be a disgrace to their family if he refused to accept it. So he didn't have a choice, and he decided to just keep it for Ange. Afterwards, she asked if he really taught Ange swordsmanship and the basics of adventuring. Bel confirmed this. Sasha explained that she was currently on AA rank, which amazes Bel since she is still so young. He was surprised when she suddenly asked for a duel to see his swordplay, and although he said that he might not be skilled enough, he didn't refuse. Sasha was excited and grateful that he agreed. Bel was impressed after seeing her beautiful stance, while Sasha also examined his stance, looking for an opening. Afterwards, she charged while striking Bel. However, he easily dealt with her attacks, while his counterattack was too heavy for her to block, leaving an opening for Bel to finish the duel. Because of Bel's strength, Sasha thought that he was a famous adventurer back in the day, but he explained that he was only an E rank since he lost his leg early in his career, so he retired and stayed in Ternera. However, Sasha was still impressed that he achieved such strength despite his wooden leg, and she thought he must have trained really hard. She also thought he stayed to protect Ternera and guide the next generation of the village instead of pursuing fame. Bel tried to clear up the misunderstanding, but Sasha didn't give him a chance to interrupt her, and she even asked him to be her mentor without giving him a chance to refuse. Sasha left quickly after this, so Bel even wondered if everything was just a dream. At the same time, Ange was happy when she found out that there were no S-rank jobs currently, and she asked for a vacation right away. However, the receptionist said that she couldn't because more monsters were active recently, and there's no telling what could happen. While having their meal, Anissa and Miriam noticed that Ange was in a really bad mood. Ange was upset that she could only have small breaks, and she thought it wasn't a real vacation unless she could go back home and meet her father. Miriam tried to spoil Ange to make her feel better, but she declared that Miriam couldn't replace her father. Afterwards, Anissa brought up the issue regarding the monsters, and Miriam was bewildered by the monster attack on cities, as it had never happened before. Ange was annoyed by the situation, and she asked why the monsters couldn't mind their own business somewhere far away. Miriam mentioned that there were rumors of the return of the Demon Kings, and the fact that the monsters were becoming more active could mean that it was true. Ange asked about it, but she was already aware that there were a bunch of Demon Kings. It was revealed that based on the legends, there were 72 Demon Kings made by Solomon, who was a master of all kinds of magic and alchemy. He also made various spells and handy tools. However, because of his hunger for power, he created immortal constructs known as homunculi to conquer the land. But later in life, he lost his mind and control of magic, and he eventually vanished beyond the reach of space and time. While the homunculi left with no master went on a rampage and destroyed many nations, and they were only stopped after the goddess Vienna blessed a hero with her protection to subdue them. And based on the legends, these homunculi were the Demon Kings. Afterwards, Miriam mentioned that there is a mysterious group trying to bring back the Demon Kings, but Ange only thought it would be even harder to get some time off if it happened. Although they believed that Ange would be able to beat a Demon King, Ange agreed, before declaring that she could because she was the daughter of Belgrieve the Red Ogre. However, their fun was interrupted as Ange had to deal with another wyvern attack. At the same time, Belle was preparing for the autumn festival with the villagers. A merchant approached him when she heard them mention Ange. She asked Belle if he was Belgrieve the Red Ogre, and although he was still confused by the nickname, he said it was him. She mentioned how Ange gallantly rescued some people from the bandits while escorting her. Belle was glad and proud after hearing it. However, their attention was caught by the arrival of a carriage owned by the Bordeaux family, and Belle already had a bad feeling about it. A lady introduced herself as Helvetica Bordeaux, the new Countess of Bordeaux. After hearing her name, Mr. Carey explained that she's a famous, charismatic warrior and scholar, and she was named her father's heir and tasked with ruling their lands. The village chief apologized for not recognizing her, and he swore that they were not hiding any criminals. But she asked him not to worry as she only came to meet Belgrieve the Red Ogre. Belle and the village chief looked at each other in confusion. The countess immediately held Belle's hand. She thanked him for Ange's help. After observing him, she noticed that he was well trained, and she remembered that he was impressive with the sword. And she didn't waste any time and asked Belle to serve the Bordeaux family. Belle and everyone else were confused, while the countess was already expecting him to agree. However, Belle refused, saying that he had no intention to leave Ternera and that he was getting old and weak, so he wouldn't be of any use. However, she had heard from Sasha about their duel, so she was convinced of his strength. Belle still refused no matter what she offered, so she thought he was as stubborn as he was strong. So she decided to ask her guards to take him back by force. She would do what it takes to have him serve her family. Because of this, Belle thought that Helvetica was still a young girl inside, and she was desperate because of her responsibility. He also decided to take on her men until she gave up. Belle started to release his aura, and Helvetica had no choice but to give up when her guards refused to attack, saying that he was totally unassailable. Belle was glad with the outcome. However, Helvetica wanted to marry him instead. Belle was confused while the villagers celebrated. They thought the autumn festival would also be Belle's wedding. However, when Saren arrived, she knew that her sister had tried to get Belle by force, and she immediately asked the guards to lock her up in the carriage. Saren apologized to Belle before introducing herself, and she also explained how Ange had helped her. Helvetica begged her to release her out of the carriage, but she refused, and she asked everyone to prepare for their departure. Belle thought that they wouldn't get far before it got dark, so he invited them to stay and join the village to celebrate the autumn festival instead. Saren was hesitant, but Belle and the village chief said that they would love to have the Countess family join them. Saren finally agreed, so Belle also convinced her to release Helvetica. Helvetica thanked him, and because of his kindness, she thought he must have him in the Bordeaux family, so she got an earful from Saren again. Afterwards, the kids happily asked them to have some cowberries with them. At the same time, Ange, Miriam, and Anissa were having their meal in a restaurant. However, they were troubled that the guild still failed to find out the reason for the increase of the monsters. They were also short-handed because of this, so Ange asked the guildmaster to ask for some help from the retired adventurers. And while thinking about it, she realized that she should ask her father to resume adventuring with her. Miriam and Anissa thought it was a great idea, but she felt that her father and Ternera were inseparable, and she felt the urge to return home again. At the same time, the merchant approached their group and informed Ange how she met his father. Ange got excited. She asked if he was doing well and what they talked about. The merchant said that he was doing well before explaining what had happened with him and Helvetica. Ange was enraged that Helvetica was trying to take her father away, but she was proud that he could handle it. The merchant agreed that Belle was awesome, so Ange insisted that they discuss her father's charms. She decided to treat them, and she didn't let the merchant go despite her having a business meeting next morning. At the same time, inside a cave, a creature in the darkness was calling for his master. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy this video, and please subscribe so you won't miss the next part. And just comment down any anime you want to see in this channel.